Amazing, amazing. All right, we are going to get started here. I'm Taylor Harrington. If we have not yet met, I am the head of community here around Dreamers and Doers, and I am so excited that you're here with us today. We are in a session that is all about reconnecting with yourself and your vision for the future. So we are joined by the wonderful Allie, who is the founder of Bliss'd, a personal growth company helping women gain clarity, build confidence, and reconnect with their inner magic through intentional journaling and self-discovery. So after navigating postpartum depression, Allie discovered the the power of transformational journaling as a healing practice. And so what started out as a personal ritual has become the foundation to her work, helping others trust themselves, own their stories, and create lives that they truly love, inside and out. So today she is here to guide us through an uplifting and immersive workshop where you'll get to connect with your future self and the vision or the version that you're already living in and the life that you desire. So you will learn how to bring that energy into your daily routine through a simple, sustainable journaling practice. So whether you are seeking more clarity, confidence, or joy, this session will help you turn journaling into a daily anchor for your growth, gratitude, and intentional manifestation. Allie, we are so thrilled to have you here and celebrate you in this way. Thanks so much for coming and hosting this.
Thank you so much for having me, Taylor, and for that beautiful intro. I feel like that was better than I can do.
I will happily send you the copy afterwards.
Please. And thank you everyone for being here. I am really, really excited to do this workshop. And I'm just going to pull up my presentation briefly, if I
Amazing. And I will
can.
just preface if anyone has questions throughout the session, you're welcome to put them into the chat. I will be checking that all out. Or if anyone has ideas. And also, given that this is a journaling session and there may be things that come up in shares that you don't want to be on the recording, I want to respect that. So if at any point you're like, oh, Taylor, I really want to come off of mute and ask a question or share something, feel free to put in the chat, hey, Taylor, can we stop the recording? And I will go ahead and do that for that question.
Um, Thank you, Taylor. And now Taylor and I just met to go over how to share my screen and make sure I see everything. And now I'm okay. I think I
You
figured it
got
out.
it. It's perfect.
Perfect. So hi, everyone. I just want to make sure everyone can see the screen. Okay, perfect. And before we kind of start, I also want to make sure, since this is a journaling workshop, that you either have a notebook and pen or you have the supplementary journaling workbook that I sent yesterday via messages in Dreamers and Doers. Okay, perfect. Um, all right, well, welcome everyone. I have called this workshop Make Your Magic because, as Taylor said, that is really what journaling has helped me do more of in my life, really make more magic. And before we dive into the actual presentation and workshop itself, I would just like to do a quick check-in, just to understand where you are on your own personal growth and manifestation journey. So if you want to drop into the chat using a scale of 1 through 5, you're a newbie, excited about this work. 5, you're really well versed. You are deep into your own personal growth and manifestation journey. That'll just help me kind of tailor how we chat about things. Okay, perfect. So some 4s, 3s, and just as it says on the screen, no right or wrong answers here. It's really just a pulse check. Okay, awesome. And thank you, Teresa, for sharing the link. I see that I think I missed someone in terms of messaging the workbook. So there it is. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Brielle. All right, so before we dive into the nitty-gritty of the workshop, I just want to touch a little bit more about who I am, why I'm here. But this workshop really is all about you connecting with yourself and your future self and learning all about journaling. So I don't want to spend too much time on this. But as Taylor said, founder of Bliss'd, which is a personal growth company. And since launching 3 years ago, I've helped hundreds of people, primarily women, reconnect with themselves through gratitude, self-discovery, and intentional living, mainly through a line of journals that I've designed, and most recently, within the past year, through my one-on-one coaching programs that I've introduced. I am really passionate about helping people create more alignment, confidence, and magic, whatever their version of magic may be, in their lives through journaling, through mindset shifts, through manifestation practices. I'm a mom of two. My daughter is 4, my son is 6. And it was really having my son that set me off on this path of personal growth, journaling, and entrepreneurship. While I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was young, I never really imagined it would be in what I'm currently doing, which I think is common in entrepreneurship. We sort of fall into our purpose, and that's really the case for me. After I had my son in 2019, I was deep in postpartum depression. And I was doing all of the things. I was in therapy and I was on medicine, which I like to be very upfront about. And my therapist at the time recommended journaling as an additional tool to help and is a way for me to help process emotions, heal, as well as bring all these cluttered thoughts I was having to our next session so that I wouldn't forget anything that I wanted to talk about. Set me off on a path of self-discovery and a love of journaling. I really discovered this new tool that I fell deeply in love with. 6 years later, journaling is still very much a part of my routine. And, the medicine I am no longer on. So I really do credit the medicine for where it got me, but the journaling for where it is continuing to take me. And it really started as a tool for healing and has now become more of a tool for transformation. And I hear that from my customers and clients as well. I believe that any type of journaling you engage in, you're going to experience those inner shifts. And those inner shifts is when change starts to happen. However, I do think we can use journaling in a more intentional way to help us kind of speed up some of the things that we're calling in. And that's what we're going to discuss today. I love personal growth, manifestation, self-development. I think it can often be a lonely journey. Speaking from personal experience in my friend group, I'm one of the only ones into this kind of stuff. So I felt like I had no one to talk about it with. So I really love supporting other women who are discovering this work or are on their own journeys looking to up level. Um, and then because of all of the work, the knowledge, the self-discovery, self-development I've done on my own, I've really formed my own approach to it because as we know in the self-development wellness world, there is so much out there. So just in terms of what I believe, my approach, I really value simple over complicated from systems, rituals, routines, and practices. I really believe in feeling and processing your emotions. This is something my therapist taught me the importance of. This is something I think probably everyone knows, but especially in the social media world, there can sometimes be a little bit of glossing over those quote unquote hard or negative feelings. And it can turn a little bit toxic positivity. So I really, really try to not promote toxic positivity and promote that all feelings are valid and everything. Balanced, I'm a Libra. I think as Libras, we're naturally balanced. I see that in my approach in everything I do, from the tools and modalities, and really just finding what works for you. And then ultimately helping you define what magic looks like, because for everyone it's going to be different, and then cultivating more of that. Oh, and I see another Libra here. Yay. And so in terms of our agenda and what to expect from this workshop, we're going to do a quick definition to set the scene of what manifestation is, what it isn't. Then we're going to engage in a guided future self visualization. This will be about 2-ish minutes, just as a way to create a foundation for the journaling we'll later do. We'll then do the future self. We'll reflect on what came up for our visualization with different journaling prompts. I'll then introduce the 3 4-ish step journaling framework that I and my clients, customers use regularly to help support that future self vision that we visualized on. And then I'll open it up to questions, discussions, and end with a reflective prompt. I do want to note that there's a lot we can do and cover, but I am hoping that how I've set this up gives you a good foundation of what to work with. And as things come up, you might, you might have like, oh, this would be cool to explore. This would be cool to explore. So your mind might go elsewhere, and all of that is okay. It's also meant to be a interactive, engaging, comfortable workshop. So if at any point you want to ask a question, feel free to do so either in the chat or raising your hand, and I'll um, unmute you. And I always open up the opportunity to share. Sometimes it can be really powerful and potent to share in a group where others can hold your vision alongside you. And sometimes it might feel a little bit more sacred or right to keep what we are visualizing to ourselves for a little bit longer. So just know that that option is there, but it is not mandatory. So I'm hoping by the end of this workshop, you'll walk away with clarity on what manifestation really means, a deeper connection to your future self, as well as the feelings that guide her, a simple journaling framework that you can use daily to align with your goals, your future self, as well as just for stress relief and general journaling in general, and then a renewed sense of alignment, clarity, inspiration, and tools whenever to use whenever you need a reset. And I'm just going to move this chat a little bit. All right. So just to start, cover the kind of get the workshop going. What is manifestation? There's so many definitions out there. I think we probably all have an idea of what it is, right? In the simplest form, it's really about calling in and bringing what you desire into your reality. I think it is the ultimate journey of self-discovery. If anyone has any other definitions that they'd like to add to this, feel free to do so in the chat. But this is, yeah, this is what I think is just the simplest understanding of it. And then, of course, we get into kind of the foundations of manifestation and really understanding how you can call in what you're desiring into real life, right? And this is kind of the self-discovery piece. There's a few, sorry, I just want to move my screen a little bit. There's, I think, elements and energetics of manifestation that are messaged and programmed no matter what. So here are what I believe are the foundations. Here are what other experts say are the foundations. And that's really understanding and connecting with your subconscious. Our subconscious is what drives most of our beliefs, and our beliefs are what form our habits, our actions, and how we show up in the world. So 95% of our beliefs come from our subconscious. And an interesting fact that I've learned is that many of our beliefs are formed between the ages of 0 to 7. So as a parent, I find that a little bit high pressure, but it really isn't meant to be. It's just knowledge is power. It's really just understanding that much of what has shaped our current reality was formed from beliefs that we almost had no control over from the ages of 0 to 7. So that can be both on the empowering side and on the more limiting side, the stories that we've told ourselves, the stories that we picked up from parents, teachers, society in general. I'm happy to provide examples if anyone's curious about kind of my own limiting beliefs that I've recognized. And then from there, it's really aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the version of you who has it already. So this is really where the fake it till you make it comes into play. It's not doing, spending, etc. like you already have it. It's really it is thoughts, emotions, actions of you who has it, if that makes sense. More embodiment, I would say, the energetics of it. And then another key piece is really understanding the why, which is the feeling behind what we desire. And working to recognize and cultivate more of that feeling in our now. Oftentimes, just as some basic examples, when we say we want more money to buy more stuff, what is the why behind that desire? It's often freedom or confidence. And sometimes people don't realize that they already, that you have the power to create freedom and confidence in your life now through different, through changing your thought patterns, through emotions, and through your actions. And then there's the balance of cultivating gratitude for all we do have while holding space for what's to come. And also a surrender piece, which I'm sure many of you have heard about, and this is really all about building trust in yourself and the universe. This is keeping the little promises to yourself. Start small to build that self-trust. Looking for evidence of times that things have worked out for you and kind of building that evidence list, building that self-trust so that when challenges do arise, we have the trust both in ourselves and in the universe that ultimately things will work out for the best for us. Oh, and I see one question, so let me get to that. In the psychology and neuroscience space, what is the evidence for manifesting? Yes, this is a great question. I love it, and others can chime in as well. But I mean, a lot of neuroscientists have studied manifestation, and I am not a neuroscientist, so please bear with me. But really, the science is that you can change your brain, you can change your neural pathways with training. And if you are interested in learning kind of more about the science behind that, I really recommend checking out a Jim Doughty. I'll put it in the chat here. But really, it's about changing those neural pathways. Science has shown that the brain is mendable, right? We can change with conditioning, with mantras, with looking for evidence of what we want to believe instead of what we do believe. That can help train the brain to look for and believe whatever it is that you're trying to instill. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes, it
Okay,
does. Yes, it does.
cool.
I asked the question. Yes.
Perfect. And just he gives a really, I can send a podcast after this, but there's a really great podcast that he did on the Mel Robbins show. He actually just recently passed away. And he gives a framework for exactly overcoming your limiting beliefs and reprogramming new beliefs in it. And just as a quick recap for anyone interested in that, it is recognizing the limiting beliefs. Awareness is key in this stage. I think sometimes that is the hardest part. And the way we can see our limiting beliefs, recognize what we believe is really just looking around us. So looking around at the life that we're living and then understanding the life we want to be living and kind of workshopping from there what we currently believe and what someone living that life that we are striving for, what they believe, and filling in the gaps that way. And then he has a whole process where you write out the new belief, you say it in your head, and you say it out loud. So it stimulates all of the senses, right? The power of writing, the power of saying it out loud, and then the power of reading. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Taylor. And so then really why journaling? Because there's a lot of different ways to tap into manifestation. This workshop is focusing on the journaling part. And it's a great tool for accessing your subconscious. It really helps surface beliefs and patterns. There's been studies shown the value of writing out whatever is on your mind can unleash new ideas, new thoughts, and as it says, like help other really deeply buried beliefs come up. It really brings clarity to what you actually want, cultivates gratitude and appreciation for what you have, and it really creates self-awareness and helps you emotionally release all that might be cluttering your mind. And again, it strengthens self-trust and your connection to your future self. So we're going to connect with our future self first. And I'm going to do a short 2-ish minutes gently guided visualization. I did try to get music in this presentation and I was not able to. So if music is something that's important to you, I'm going to give you a minute just to pull up some calming music or not, if you prefer a different type of music to meditate to, and mute yourselves if you're not already muted, and then I'll guide you through a short, as I said, 2-ish minutes guided visualization. If you're new to visualization or meditation, this might feel long. If you are a seasoned meditator or visualizer, this might feel really short, but I thought that this was a good starting point for this workshop. And just as a heads up, I will guide you on opening your eyes at the end of the meditation. Oh, perfect. Amazing. And we will get started. So I can't see if everyone's eyes are closed, but I'm going to give people a minute to either play this music that's, I think Taylor popped up, get cozy and comfy, and then close your eyes whenever you're ready. And together, let's take a couple deep breaths. So in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let's do 2 more. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And just let your body relax and your mind settle as best you can as we take one last deep breath together. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Now I want you to imagine your life, and I suggest a timeline of 1 or 2 years from today. I want you to imagine either a day in the life, looking ahead 1 or 2 years from today, or thinking back on the past year or 2 that you've just experienced. So again, you can either picture yourself reflecting back on these past couple of years, like watching a highlight reel, or drop into a single day in your future as if you're living it out in real time. Really just trust whatever comes up here. I want you to notice your surroundings. Where are you, or what are you thinking about? Are you with anyone? Or are you enjoying a quiet moment to yourself? Maybe sipping coffee in the morning. Notice what you're wearing and how it reflects your energy and your confidence. Anything that's forming in your head is right. I'd also like you to notice, as scenes start to play out, how you feel in this future version of your life. You may be experiencing feelings of peace, joy, and fulfillment, or maybe it's a more excited, invigorating, energized feeling. I'm going to give you about a minute just to let your mind wander here and see what comes to fruition. A few more seconds just to let whatever you're seeing play out a little bit longer. And remember to really try to capture the essence and the feelings of this future version of self. Now, I'd like to imagine that this future version of self catches you, looking at her, smiling, you as your current version of self. Does she have any words, messages, or guidance to share with you? Whatever resonates, you can either ask her a question, a specific question, or for any wisdom she wants to share, or you can see if she shares anything on her own. You can give her a smile and a wave, a hug, whatever feels right for you. Now, I'd like you to take one more deep breath as we begin to return to this present moment. Thank her and thank yourself. And then whenever you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. All right. I hope that that was, I hope that everyone had the opportunity. I know sometimes visualization, for some people, it can come really naturally, and for others, it can be a practice. So if you didn't feel like you were able to see anything or connect, know that that's okay. There are definitely different ways to kind of tap into that future self energy because we're on a workshop. Visualization in the form of meditation was the best way. But if for any reason you weren't able to, try next time you're on a walk or working out. Journaling, as we'll soon see. Oh, and I'm happy to see that that felt like such a great deep breath. Now I'd like you to either using the workbook or your own notebook, just reflect on what came up, what you saw. You can write in either the present or the past tense, as this really helps train your mind to believe that it's possible. And I've included both in the workbook and on this screen just some prompts that you can reflect on, what your future self looked and felt like, habits or beliefs that you felt like she had, just anything from the scene that you remember or that feels relevant to write down. And if you could just in the chat indicate kind of with the thumbs up or anything once you've had some time to reflect and write, that would be helpful. Give everyone about a minute or two more. All right, I see a couple all goods in the chat. Perfect, perfect timing. Before I open it up to if anyone would like to share, I just wanted to share kind of this optional bonus on helping to refine this future self version that we have written about. There was a trend on social media in the spring about going to ChatGPT and asking ChatGPT to kind of craft a future version of self based on what you wanted to happen in your life. And I love this. I think this is a really, if you do use I think this is a really great way to use AI. However, I felt like that trend kind of bypassed a bit of the energetic work. Luckily, we've just done that work, right? We've actually sat with in visualization and done a lot of the energetics, the feelings, the tapping into. However, it can be hard to really get a refined version of self. And that's where ChatGPT can come in. So if you do use ChatGPT, feel free to take the notes that you've written down, including those feelings, and ask it to craft an ideal day in the life story or a personalized meditation based on this visualization that you just experienced. And I would love to open it up quickly if anyone would like to share um, anything about their future self-visualization that came through. You can either unmute and share with us, or you can share it in the chat.
I'll share.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
I'll just share a little snippet at the end where you were asking us to thank our future self, however felt good. I found myself with the urge to hug my future self as if I needed that tactile reassurance, like that good, like that good hug to that you give someone that you want to remember or have them remember you. So that really stood out for me. It wasn't just like a wink and a wave. It was like, get in here, girl. Let me
Oh,
reassure you.
I love that. I'm similar in anytime I kind of future self, there's always this embrace. Similar with inner child work as well. I'm always like embracing myself. All right. And then before we wrap and get into the journaling, again, on that workbook, if you haven't already, or in your notebook, I'd love just on a scale of 1 through 10, for you to assess how aligned your current version of life is to the one that you just visualized. And you're both looking at kind of the tactical, the actual, the stuff, the things, as well as the feeling. So write down the first number that comes to mind. Again, there's no right or wrong here. It's just a good way to gauge kind of where there might be some gaps to fill in. All right. And now we're going to get into, oh, that's great. Thank you, Taylor. If anyone else wants to share, feel free to put it in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to get into kind of this daily journaling ritual practice that we can now use to support that visualization that we just had. So I came up with this framework when I got really into journaling. It's intentionally really simple. And again, when I got into journaling, it was all about healing. And now it's much more about transformation. And I say that because this framework is really flexible. You can use it both as that intentional tool for manifestation, especially since we now have a foundation we're working with, or you can use it more as just a general journaling tool. And it is 3 steps that we journal on and 1 optional step where we visualize. So the first is all about releasing. The second part is an optional visualization. So just a moment, 30 seconds or so, to connect with your manifestation or that future version of self. The next stage is gratitude. And then we end with kind of manifestation or feeling. And how we would use this framework in this instance to support our future version of self. Here are some specific prompts. So in the release section, really focusing on what you need to release, either literally or figuratively, in order to support that vision that you just had. It could be a limiting belief, a habit, a fear, energetics, self-doubt, etc. And again, this is meant to be a regular journaling practice. So one day you might be exploring a limiting belief, another day you might be exploring a habit, lots of different ways to use this. Then that optional visualization, if it feels right to kind of quickly connect again, think it's like 15 to 30 seconds. And then gratitude. And again, in this instance of supporting that visualization that we just had, I like to do gratitude for the right now, what I'm currently feeling grateful for, and then thinking as my future self, 1 or 2 bullets of what she feels grateful for. And just as a note, there might be some overlap here, or it might be completely different. And then ending with excitement and feeling. So just something in general that's stirring up positive emotions for you, whether it's something that's planned or something that you're manifesting and working towards. So I'm going to give everyone 5-ish minutes to journal through this, again, either in the workbook itself or in your own notebook. And then whenever you are done, if you want to just give a little thumbs up or note in the chat, that would be great. Perfect. All right, amazing. Perfect, awesome. So as you see, this is really meant to be a 5 to 10 minute journaling practice. And again, lots of different ways you can use this framework. I've given one in terms of supporting that future version of self. There are also on this screen, I've just included other prompts and ways you can use each section. So feel free to screenshot if you'd like. And each day might be different in how you show up to it, but it really is meant to be a easy and flexible, simple framework to help you stick with journaling. Because as we know, when we're consistent with things, that's when the change happens. And then if anyone would like to share anything, any types of reflections on what came up for you, if there was any theme or aha moments, share in the chat if you'd like, or feel free to unmute. All right. And then just some general journaling tips for your practice. In general, for those who are interested in kind of that manifestation element, the subconscious mind is most accessible first thing in the morning or right before bed. So that some people really like to try to journal either first thing in the morning or before bed. However, I'm a believer that the best time to journal is the time that you're actually going to do it and be able to fit it into your schedule. Also understand that there are seasons to life. I'm now a morning journaler, but when when my kids were younger, there was absolutely no way I was journaling first thing in the morning. Obviously, don't worry about the grammar, the pretty pages, or anything. The goal is honesty, not perfection, and just getting out whatever's in your head, because that is where the magic is going to happen. And then just speaking to the stories that we tell yourself. If you want to be a journaler, start telling yourself that you're a journaler, because we become the identity by showing up, even if it's just for 5 minutes. If you journal for 1 minute, you're still a journaler. If you journal for 5 minutes, you're still a journaler. If you skip a day here or there, you're still a journaler. And then let this practice evolve with you. Some days it might be a deep dive and really sticking to a framework or formula, and other days it might be more of a single line or mind dumping, free flow writing. And yeah, just to remember that it's your space. So all yours. And then just in terms of offers, before we wrap with one final reflection question, I do my own journaling at the start of every month, just to reflect on the month prior and then set intentions and goals for the month ahead. I thought it would be fun to invite people into this practice. So if anyone's interested in kind of getting some journaling in before the end of the year, I've set 2 dates. For the start of November, the start of December at 10 a.m. Pacific. If you'd like to join, just email me at allie@bliss.co, and I'll add you to the calendar invite. And I will provide prompts that you can answer if you'd like. You can also just show up to journal. And then if anyone, open it up to anyone if they'd like to share anything that came up. And then I also have a code for 30% off. The code is Dreamer30, and this works on any of my offerings on my site. I have single coaching and 3-session packages available. And just to call out specific product names, I have a session all about basically what we just did today, but going a little deeper, a future self activation session, and then a Make Your Magic mini coaching session. And then I also have longer containers as well, an 8-week and a 6-month. And then I have a digital course, Magic Moments, which is, again, similar to what we did today, but with a lot more exercises throughout. And it's really set up to take you from whatever number you just wrote down to increase that number by 1, 2, 3, 4, however many points you're aiming for. And then I also have a line of journals. And if you have any questions, feel free again to email me at allie@bliss'd.co. And then would love to open it up for questions and discussion. And just for further reflection, I will leave you with this prompt. How can you begin to embody your future self, either via an aligned action or a mindset approach that you can adopt? Something might immediately come to mind for you, or what the cool thing about journaling and just prompts in general is now that this is top of mind, things will start to come into play and come into your focus on how you can better embody your future self. So if anyone has any questions or discussion or wants to chat about anything that came up for them, I'd love to.
I would love to hear from some members, but before we do, let's just shower Allie with some confetti and love. That was amazing. Thank you for walking us through that. I feel so much lighter. Like I needed that break in my day. So thank you for that. And I love seeing some of the things that came up in the chat. And that idea that like maybe like that future version of ourselves isn't as far as maybe it like originally seemed. So yeah, thank you for walking us through that. That was amazing.
Of course. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I really appreciate it. And yeah, Taylor, just to emphasize that, I think when you start to think about your future version of self is the feeling rather
Yes.
than the stuff or the things, you realize exactly as you said that you're likely already her. And then knowing and embracing that feeling, the things, the stuff will start to come. Not in the way we expected, probably. Maybe not exactly what we are anticipating or desiring or wishing for, but at the end of the day, it really is all about the feeling. So if the feeling is accomplished, it almost doesn't matter the stuff or the things.
100%. And I love the use of magic that you sprinkle into everything that you do. Like that just I love magic. So
Oh, thank you.
sweet. Is there anyone that wants to come off with a question or discussion? I know there were a couple of questions in the chat. Teresa asked, how do you do a future self meditation? Do you guide yourself, Allie? And then I'll also tack on Lisa's question because maybe you can put it all together, which is what is your review and reflection process? So do you ever read the journal entries that you've written or yeah, what is that like for you?
Yeah, I guess to your first question, the future self-visualization, I have similar to what we just did, kind of an overall future self. And I did go into ChatGPT and ask it to refine that day in the life of story. So I feel like I have something, especially because I wasn't always a strong visualizer. I feel like I have something that just helps paint the picture even more. So I've read that several times. It's sort of ingrained in my memory. And whenever I am intentionally visualizing, that's where my mind goes. I also use it for specific manifestations. I did a really quick visualization before this workshop. And just any time I have a goal, a big goal, a little goal, just checking in and again, it can be 30 seconds or a minute just to check in with how I want to feel at the end, and how ideally I'd like to see, how I'd like to show up for it. And then the second part was on in reflection and intention on the monthly.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
what
sorry.
oh, go
I'll
ahead.
just jump in. I'll just
Thanks.
jump in. Yeah, the question was just, is going back and looking at your journal entries, is that part of the practice or is it really just the doing of it? I'm just wondering like how often you go back and read it.
Yeah. So I would say when Honestly, I haven't gone back in a while, and that's, I guess, more intuitive because I did used to go back more often and have a little bit more of a routine around it. Those times that I did, I will say this with the going back thing, because working in the journaling space and working with a lot of customers, that's actually a fear of a lot of customers or clients. The idea of going back and seeing that things haven't happened yet. So if that's kind of the mindset around it, it's really framing it as is there's an opportunity here, right? To reflect, to shift, etc. And rather than framing it around fear, like, oh my gosh, that thing hasn't happened yet, or am I doing something wrong? Just sitting with it. And then on the actual going back, times that I have had maybe a longer break between going back in my older journals to now, and then seeing that things actually did happen, or the mindset space that I was in and how much I've shifted internally, um, that kind of boosts that confidence, that evidence, that like magic to keep going. So to answer the question, I don't have a set routine of going back and looking through my prior journals. I used to, for whatever reason, just life, I haven't done it as much. I use it more as those monthly journaling sessions that I do where I kind of reflect on the month prior, like what happened, am I where I want to be, what didn't happen, and use that then as fuel for the next month ahead. Um, does that help? I think
Yes.
it's really okay. I would also say if there's fear, if it's the fear is the driving around going back, because again, this has come up with customers who have, purchased my journals and everything. If there's a lot of fear around going back and looking at your journals, and that's kind of preventing you from wanting to journal, because you're nervous there's not going to be the shift, then I would set the intention to plan not to um, go back on the journals until you kind of get into the practice more.
Wow. Well, this was such a lovely session. I want to also open up that if you want to continue the conversation at all inside of the community, if anything else comes up for folks, like feel free to pop into the original thread where this event was hosted. So either Allie or I can pop back in there with some like thoughts or point you in the right direction for a resource. And keep in mind, like if anything came up during your visualization as you were thinking about her, if there's anything that dreamers and doers can do to help you become more like her. And whether it's having certain conversations with people, as we talked about, a lot of it is in feelings, but also can be like that dot connector to an opportunity or to the right person to have a really hard conversation with, or someone that asks you a really great question that is a game changer. So please know that I'm always an email away or a DM on Circle away and happy to help be that dot connector for you to become more of whoever she was that you described. So thank you again, Allie. This was amazing. And I hope to see you all again soon. Thanks to everyone for carving out a little bit of your Thursday. And I'm sending good fall vibes from New York City, where it is definitely peak fall now. All
Oh,
right.
lucky. And
Yeah, I
yes,
know,
Taylor,
right?
just to emphasize that there is that action, that intuitive aligned action piece that we didn't totally
Mhm.
jump into on this. But exactly, like there's definitely the action piece of manifestation as well, and what action your future self would take as you approach um, goals and challenges, etc.
Amazing. All right.
Thank
Well,
you
bye,
so
crew. Have
much.
a great rest of your day. And I hope to see you again soon. Thanks again, Allie. Bye.
Have a good one.